David, if you wouldn't mind, maybe compare this with the Volkswagen story. I see that these allegations are covering around 104,000 vehicles. How many were we talking about in the case of Volkswagen?
So Volkswagen started with 500,000 with the 2-liter, and then it added, I think, another 70 or 80,000 with the larger 3-liter engine, which were the SUVs and that sort of thing. So this is much smaller, but that doesn't mean it couldn't do a lot of damage if Fiat Chrysler ends up being guilty on this one. Remember, the cost for Volkswagen has surpassed $23 billion, given all the fines, settlements, consumer actions they need to take. I don't know if you could just do it proportionately, but it would still be quite a big financial bill for FCA if they end up being guilty.
That's what I was going to ask. Will it be the same procedure? Might we end up with indictments, a settlement, and a guilty plea?
Yeah, we could, but that's a long way off. And at the moment, Fiat Chrysler is saying that they plan to defend this. And we don't have much about that, but in terms of how they will defend themselves. But companies do have a lot of software, a lot of microprocessors in cars. Engines are heavily computer controlled these days to operate differently under different conditions. And we'll see if what they had in there was for that purpose or to cheat on tests.
Do we know which models are affected, David?
Yes, it's the Dodge Ram pickup truck and the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which they've offered a diesel in for a few years now. Those are the two models involved, and that's why the volume is so far relatively small compared to the number of trucks that Dodge actually sells. Still could be a very big bill, though, given how the government treats this issue.
David, I can't help but wonder about the timing of this. I mean, VW just settling with U.S. authorities, removing a big hurdle for it from the diesel emissions scandal, and here we are with an allegation against Fiat. I mean, the timing, it's quite, could I use the word ironic?
Not sure. And here's the way I would look at it. The government has limited resources to look at these things. And they've been looking first at the Volkswagen 2-liter engines and then the 3-liter engines, and working with Volkswagen to find a way to fix that and meeting with them. And so as that started to close, then they'd already been looking at Fiat Chrysler, but then they could really focus their attention on this one. I think once the Volkswagen scandal broke, they were really looking at everybody's diesel engines because it didn't really look like many car makers could meet the tests without either really heavy equipment on the engines and the exhaust system or some kind of software use.
So take us back to the beginning, David. How was this actually discovered, and are there investigations ongoing at the moment at other automakers, do we know?
We don't know. The Justice Department was looking into Daimler, and that was the result of a civil suit, a class action against Daimler. That class action was at first thrown out of court, and then the plaintiffs have come back and filed a different way to file it, and they're trying to stay in the game. So we don't know if the DOJ is still looking at that or not, but that one was out there. I don't think the FCA and Volkswagen diesel situations were found in the same way. Volkswagen was found by an NGO, and the EPA actually found what they think is a problem with Fiat Chrysler's trucks.
David, I mean, we were only talking last week about, Sergio Marchionne's plan to pay down debt and reach various targets by the time he retires. I mean, does this put a big spanner in the works if these allegations prove to be true?
Absolutely, because it could end up being quite a bit of cash. I mean, we're talking, in Volkswagen's case, over $23 billion. And even though this is fewer vehicles and volume does matter, part of the calculation is how many vehicles you cheated on and how many consumers you need to buy out or fix vehicles for. So it would be probably a lesser bill, but you're still talking quite a bit of expense on something like this.